Welcome to Restaurant Food Fast with your host, Chuck Brooks.
Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to Restaurant Food Fast. Today we're going to do a real quick recipe. We're going to do a Seafood Concasse. I noticed on a couple of the chef's boards postings, people were asking what a concasse is. So I figured I'd demonstrate one and would do a seafood recipe with it. They're really quick, simple stuff, real easy to do. So we're going to go over that today. I want to thank everybody for all their support and viewership. We seem to be getting good numbers, so I'm glad you're enjoying it. Can't wait to see the spoofs that are coming out. I hope they are. I hope something is. So we're gonna do the concasse today. I'm gonna use mussels and shrimp. I use mussels in this a lot. It's a traditional recipe. The mussels are very inexpensive. You can get a pound of mussels for around $3.50. If you don't like mussels, of course, don't use them. This works with clams, any seafood you want to put in it. Traditionally, I'll do it with just the mussels, and I'm going to use shrimp today because they had some shrimp on sale, so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to show you how to do a concasse. It's going to be pretty easy. It's real quick. So what you're going to need for this is you're going to need a couple, for the concasse, you're going to need tomatoes. Any kind of fresh tomato. You don't have to do a concasse to do this recipe. You can use any box product that they have out, any canned product. Diced tomatoes would work great. I'm going to use a combination of both because basically a diced tomato in the can is kind of what a concasse is supposed to be. When you do it fresh, there's a huge difference. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So you're going to need some tomatoes. A lot of this depends on how much you're going to make. I have a pound of mussels and a pound of shrimp. So I've got about 5 medium small tomatoes, and I'm going to use this. It's a 14 ounce, so it's a normal can size of tomato product in addition to these tomatoes. You're going to need garlic and onion to season the concasse with, butter, and of course you're going to need your shrimp and or your mussels, whichever, whatever product you're going to use. This is really close if you've ever eaten a paella. This is very similar to a paella, except you don't have the rice in it. So it's, like I said, it's a very traditional dish. You'll be real familiar with it once you start doing it, once you taste it. So I'm going to show you how to start the concasse. It's real simple. In the back here, I've got a pot of boiling water on. And right here, I've got a bowl of ice water. And where you're going to shock your tomatoes, and you're going to pull the skin off of them. You do this with a lot of vegetables if you're using them in cooking later on. You can shock them off. It's par cooking them. It'll make them tender, but when you put them in the ice water, it stops the cooking so they don't get all mushy on you. So basically when you do a tomato, you just take the very bottom of it and you make an X. Just like that. On the bottom of each one of your tomatoes. Nothing particular, doesn't have to be real deep. Because all this is going to do is allow the skin to peel back once it goes into the 2 water sets. So just mark those up. And I'm going to drop those into my pot of water. Okay, I'm going to start my actual pot for the cooking process. I'm going to let these hang out in there for a minute. And it only takes a few minutes. You're really not cooking the tomatoes. You just want that boiling water to make that skin start to peel back, and you can see when it does. I'll show you once it starts. Give them a few more minutes. I'm going to start dicing stuff up for the recipe itself. got one big onion, doesn't matter what kind. This one happens to be a sweet onion. Any kind you have will work. I use quite a bit of it. I don't season this recipe a whole lot, so there's not a lot of additional spices in it. It's pretty much just the garlic and the onion. You can make this spicy by adding pepper flakes to it. It's just all up to you. You can have it however you like. I don't think I'm going to use the mandolin today, even though I did find my safety gear. I'm going to hope to keep my fingers intact today. So the easiest way I found to dice up an onion is I cut, if you see where the root end is, I cut the top end off. Cut it in half and then peel it. And depending on how big you want your pieces to be is how you cut it. Now I don't want these super fine, but I'll show you the difference. Don't cut through to the very edge. You just make your cuts straight around. When you dice it, you get these pieces as big as you've cut. So these are roughly quarters. If you would take that same, after you've made your cuts, if you would come across horizontally and cut through, again, now you're going to get tinier pieces because it splits all of those in half again. So that's how you get the really fine dice. For any of these recipes, I'm not real worried about the size of the onion. I want this to be fairly small. So I'm going to do the same thing on both halves. This tomato should be about ready now. I'm going to add some margarine. Oh yeah, they're ready. Okay. You can see how the skin starts peeling off. Let's give you a close-up of that one. The skin starts peeling back on these. Now these are, I had these in a little too long. When they'll start to break when you have them in for a little too much. It's not going to affect it a whole lot. We're not using these in a salad, so we don't need them to be raw. So I'm not too concerned about it. I'm going to cook them anyway. And the ice water makes the skin much easier to come off. So that's where those are finished. Get this out of my way. Pull this off the heat. Add my onions in. Turn that down a little bit, let those cook for a few minutes while I peel these up. As you can see, the skin comes right off, just like that. Very easy. And the reason you do this is the texture on the tomato skin never breaks down. You'll never get that. It's just the nature of the beast. You'll never get that rough tomato skin out of there. So what you do is you concasse them to get rid of both the tomato skin and the seeds. So you see how easy that skin comes off? Now if you cook them, if you need them raw, completely raw, and you want to make them taste like regular tomato, don't leave them in quite as long, and they'll come right out. The skin will be a little more difficult, it won't slide off quite as easy, but as soon as you grab it and peel it, you'll be able to take the skin off. I'm just taking the stem out. Sometimes you can actually just grab the stem and it'll pop, but there you go, you're halfway there. I'll rinse my hands off because I want to add the garlic to my onions now. So I'm using about 2, I guess, tablespoon and a half, maybe a little more. I'll put another shot in. So yeah, two tablespoons around, 2 to 3. Now comes the fun part of the concasse. You take your tomato, cut it in half, and your object is to get the seeds out. So you mush it, and the seeds will come out. And that's it. Now you can sit and dig them out, you can make them into quarters and pull it out. It's just however you want to go about doing it. You basically just want the outside, you don't want the seeds. So, since I cooked mine a little more than a normal concasse, I'm just going to dig them out because they come out real easy. See how the seeds just pop. They pop right out. And that way you don't have to worry about chomping into a tomato seed or skin. It's going to be very, very smooth. And it's a completely different flavor than a canned product. Anytime you want to cook quick and you're going to make a sauce, if you use real tomatoes, the flavor is completely different. It's very, very fresh tasting. Oddly enough, I'm not a big fan of tomatoes, so I don't do it a whole lot. I prefer a cooked tomato. I'm not awfully fond of the raw ones, but in certain instances like this, you need it. So here's a real good example of what you get once you've got these pitted. It's just the flesh. It's nice and messy. And like I said, if you don't feel like going through all this, you can use the diced tomato product. It's going to taste a little different. It's going to have more of a spaghetti sauce taste and less of a fresh tomato taste. But it still comes out real good. There we go. So with these, once you get them peeled and seeded, you just dice them up. And go back to my pot here, get a little more heat to that. That's good. And all I'm going to do is rough chop these. They're going to cook down as soon as you put them into that hot pan. Knife technique on this. All you're doing is rocking your knife. You're putting your hands on top and up and down, and that's it. The only thing you have to worry about, or not even worry about, is watch for, is if the knife kicks and keels over, slips, or you get your finger underneath. Doesn't happen much. This is one of the safest ways to chop down. As you can see, I'm just cutting these up into rough dice. They're not overly fine. I'm not worried too much about that. Into the pan it goes. Okay, pretty much done with that cutting board. The other tomato product that I'm using. Maybe. These boxes baffle me. That's it. Turn that heat up, and once that cooks, I'll go into the butter. I'm going to go into the mussels a little bit. When you buy mussels, you can get them cleaned like these were in the seafood counter, and they're debearded, and they're pretty clean. You don't have to do anything with them. If you buy them bagged, they're going to come with a little, looks like seaweed. They call it a beard. It's what it attaches itself with. You got to get that off of there. So if you buy them bagged, just bring them home and rip that beard off. Pull that beard off. You want to make sure that they're not open. If they're open, it's a good chance that they're dead. You don't want them to open until you cook them. So if you have a good fishmonger, your grocery store where you buy them knows what they're doing. When they pull them for you, they're going to look. You know, they're going to make sure that they're all closed tight and they're good. So that's pretty much it about mussels. These are normal farm-raised Canadians. You can get New Zealand mussels. They're a little greener and they're much bigger. Really good. A little bit more expensive than these. Shrimp, you can get whatever you want. I've just got 3140s, and I'm putting them shell and all into the mix. So the key to this recipe, in my mind, is the amount of butter you put in. It's basically all this sauce is butter and tomato product. So this is going to be really rich. It's going to taste good. It's not, it is a main course, but it's not what I consider a main course. I generally serve this, oddly enough, it goes really, really well with beer. Mussels and beer just work perfectly together. You could serve it with wine, of course, but I usually use this as an appetizer. I'll cook this a lot for football games. Like I say, it's just a really nice, easy recipe. It's real quick. I'm going to add a little bit of water to this. In and out some. That's pretty much it. Salt. Pepper. Wrong side. That's bad. I did that the other day. And that's pretty much it. When you're doing a seafood mix like this, you got to be aware of what cooks fast, what cooks slow, what the donenesses are going to be. If you put something in that's a longer cook time, most seafood you can cook really quick. If you don't like your fish rare, you may want to put it in a little sooner than if you would put in, say, your shrimp, depending on how dense the fish is. In a recipe like this, you definitely don't want to use anything that is flaky. Just like in a paella, you want something that's going to hold together. A tuna steak, something of that nature, shark steak, halibut. These tend to cook at about the same time. So what I'm going to do is just start throwing handfuls in. I'm going to dump all the shrimp in now. Give them a little stir so they get seated. Now that's going to drop your temp a bit because I didn't thaw them, I didn't do anything, I just put them in from frozen. Now I'm going to start setting the mussels in. And just as I'm doing this, I'm going through making sure that none of them are open. I want them, or cracked. Like this one has a crack in it. There's no way I'll use it. One bad mussel and you'll never eat them again. They got to be one of the worst tasting things in the world if you get them when they're bad. So just give them a look. Make sure you're not putting if they missed a beard, you definitely don't want that in there. So another one's crack, done. And it's real easy to tell when mussels are done. They open up. Now I usually wait for them to open up and let them cook a little bit longer, and that's it. But you set these down. Now this is so far this is exactly the same as cooking a paella, except there's no rice. You do the same thing with rice in this. Let the rice get cooked. This is only going to take about 5 to 10 minutes to cook off completely. So get your rice right to the end. You still have liquid in there. Put in your seafood, and that's it. You're done. As soon as the rice is cooked, the seafood's cooked, out you go. You got a full meal right there. This one just doesn't happen to have the rice. So as you can see here, the mussels are all opening. The shrimp are all cooked already. I'm just giving them a little more time, giving some of these mussels a little more time. I want them to soak up this tomato flavor. So I'm going to let them cook just a little bit. And then I'm going to show you on exit, when you're plating this, you're going to want to look at those mussels again and make sure all of them opened. If you have one that didn't open when you cook it, don't put it on a plate, throw it out. Like I say, mussels are cheap. Don't worry about wasting a couple of them. You'd rather do that than eat one that's not right. So that's pretty much, it's pretty much ready to go. I'm going to plate it out, show you what to do with the sauce. Let me grab my bowl real quick. Okay, I'm going to pull this from the heat. I'm not going to turn the heat off because I'm going to put the sauce back on. It's my catch-all, Marsala. Traditionally, you can finish this with white wine. I'm going to finish it with just a little bit of Marsala because that's what I have. I don't drink white wine. I don't drink wine at all. I cook with Marsala, so I have some. But again, take it, pull it, take a look at all the mussels as you're pulling them out. Make sure they all open. These look like a real good batch. I haven't run across any of them yet that haven't. Clear off and I'll show you here. You can see they're all open nice and wide. That's exactly what you're looking for. Now you see I'm using a slotted spoon. I'm not worried about getting the juice. I'm going to work with that in a minute. It's not that I'm not trying to get it, I'm just not concerned about it. There's going to be a bunch left in the pot, and that's what I'm going to finish my sauce with. It's going to finish with wine, and guess what? More butter. Never said these were healthy recipes. If anybody wants healthy recipes, give me a call, we can do that too. But these are this is what you would get in a restaurant. So that looks perfect. Okay, you can see your sauce is a little watery. I'm going to put it back over high heat. We're going to reduce it just a hair. I want to bring that up to a boil. I want to finish it with the butter afterwards. So I just want it to get up there and start reducing just a little bit. Now this is where, if you would want to make this spicy, you can take some red pepper flakes. Get red pepper, red pepper flakes into this sauce, and it just jacks it up so we got some heat to it. You can do it in your cooking too if you want it. If you want everything hot. If you just want the sauce hot, this is when you do that. Just as a finish, there we go. I got the reduction I wanted. I'm going to hit this with just a little bit of Marsala. Guess that's about a quarter cup maybe. Reduce this around, let it cook off. Reduce down a little more. Now all those tomatoes that we did, if you can see, they're almost gone. They've made themselves down into a nice, really fresh tomato sauce. I'm going to finish this with a little more butter, off the heat. Now there's big technical names for that, and you can do all this other stuff. We were talking about creaming when we did the soup recipes last time. Monte au beurre. If you've ever made a buffalo sauce, where you take hot sauce and just add a couple lumps of, get the hot sauce hot, add butter to it, swirl around, that's Monte au beurre. That's it. It's just a nice French term for finish with butter. And that's what we're doing here. Get that throughout. That's it. It's finished. I'm going to pour this over top. Fresh parsley would be good. I don't have any, so I'll finish it with a little bit of parsley on top. There you have it. That's a concasse. Very quick, very easy. It's really simple, really easy. I hope this is one you grabbed. Anybody was asking about concasse, I hope that shows you how to make a concasse. Basically, like I say, same thing as a canned product. It's going to be fresher. It's just the difference between using canned and fresh. So that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed that one. Again, I want to thank everybody for their viewership. We've been getting quite a few hits. It's nice to see everybody's watching. I hope it's helping you some. You can get hold of us at restaurantfoodfast@gmail.com. Like I say, we'll answer any of your questions. If you want to post a comment after any of the shows, I check them regularly, so if I can see the comment, then if it's a question, I'll try and answer it for you. And other than that, you know, it's a quick, easy recipe. Nice to sit down and watch a game with. And until next time, just cook something fun.